Hi everyone, welcome to episode 7 of The Green Room. I am here with my co-host, Nick, and I'm James. And as always, on our weekly podcast, we are going to talk to you a little bit about some energy saving bits and pieces around the home, what has caught our attention in the news, and various other bits and pieces. Have you had a good week, Nick?
I've had a fantastic week.
Have you?
It's been terrific. Actually, I was a bit down by all the cold last week, so I'm just not prepared for these things. You know, I don't have hiking boots and all that stuff, so very, very slippery, I have to say. So I don't mind a bit of rain, I have to say. I don't mind a bit of grey sky.
You don't prefer the snow?
I don't like the snow. Not for... I mean, if I was skiing, of course, then it would be absolutely perfect. But for kind of UK climate, it's not very ideal. It's not good for commuting.
My little dog,
Yep.
who is now a year and 2 months old, this is the second time he's seen snow, and he bloody loves it. It's just unbelievable. I mean, properly prancing around in the snow, loves it. Much more than me.
You can be a bit bleary-eyed. Did you stay up to watch the NFL last night?
I didn't. No,
Okay.
I planned to, but then didn't. Which I think, having heard some of the reports, is probably for the best.
Yes.
So no, but I didn't. But excited about the fact the Patriots have won again.
Here's a bit. I don't watch NFL. But here's a bit of knowledge So they've tied the Pittsburgh Steelers for the most NFLs in modern history.
Have they?
Yes. So 6 Super Bowls.
There we go. Is that
I don't watch it. I watch rugby. So
fine.
Yeah.
Right. Should we make a start on talking about this sort of stuff?
LED.
Is that where we're going?
We're going to talk about LED.
What
this
does
week.
LED stand for, Nick?
Light emitting diode.
And tell me about it.
So LEDs are, it's new technology. It's not really new technology now, but it's relevant technology in terms of it has replaced the old lights, the incandescent lights, the halogens. Not fully the halogens, but in terms of the energy use, they are more efficient to run.
Yeah. They
are now much more popular, obviously, in homes. They are at an increasing rate being uptaken in business as well. So, we've talked about the retrofit that we're doing, not this room yet, but hopefully when these ones go next time, we will get these retrofitted with
lights. We've still got those enormously warm...
Enormous chlorophorescent ones, or actually tungsten, no, they are T12s. T12s.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, it's just, there's the really long tubes, so when you turn them on, they flicker a bit and then they come on fully. So
yes.
But not great. I think they're on really high wattage, so guzzling energy.
But it is quite bright in here, so...
It is very bright.
For our videos.
It is very bright. Sometimes too bright for my liking. But, kind of going back onto the LED stuff, it's European regulations came in a few years ago, which I think actually this is where regulation is useful. Not always useful, in a sense that they want the country or, all of the European countries to move to LED as a standard, which is kind of pretty much taken place nicely. So,
and the savings are massive,
yes.
Right? I think that's first thing to make really clear. So if you have a traditional light bulb in your house, what kind of energy savings are we looking at?
In terms of, so I'd say 90%. So if you've got say you've got a halogen GU10 bulb.
So a little spotlight in
your
kitchen.
The one you twist and release. Yeah, absolutely. Kitchen's popular. You used to have them, say, in bathrooms, but now you're kind of having them throughout the house. So I'd say, about 90%, because the old GU10s used to run on about 40, 50 watts. The new ones are 4.5 to 6 watts.
But you get the same amount of light.
Same amount of light and energy, because just the way they've been designed is they have been designed for the purpose to produce light and very little heat, whereas the old bulbs, as you'll know,
they get hot.
A lot of heat, very little light.
They produce light. So it's kind of like, and I think we've touched on this before, but it's about 90% heat for an old bulb.
Yes.
About 90% heat, 10% light. And now that's flipped, so it's about 90% light and 10% heat. So as you say, they are specifically designed to produce light, which is a bit stupid because all lights are designed to produce light.
Yes.
But I know what you mean.
They've been optimised to do so. Yeah.
Optimised, good word. Okay, so...
But it's interesting. So in terms of... It just shows you how far technology has moved. So it's only the last, 1890s when, the standard lights came out, and it's sort of 100 years later that we moved on to technology. Before that, we used oil lamps. And before
I'm glad we've moved past that.
Yes. So it just shows you how quickly things are moving. So
yeah. But even when we started this and we were writing about all these bits and pieces. To buy a decent LED, you were paying about 15 to 20 quid. Do you remember? Just for one sort of GU10 bulb. Whereas if you went and bought a halogen in the supermarket, it would cost you sort of £1.
And that's why there's slow adoption. That's why a lot of good kind of folk were saying, well, it's all good that you're giving me this fantastic advice, but I'm going to have to pay £25 for it
because the upfront price was so high. But I think if you look at it now, I think one of the big reasons why LEDs have just become so normal in properties is because the price has dropped near enough comparative with halogens. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Or an incandescent bulb.
So what's in the brief today? Are you going to bamboozle us with figures?
Well, what have we got? So, energy saving trust. Mm-hmm. Boo.
It's a valid resource.
It's very good. Sorry, I'm only joking. They estimate that a typical halogen would use about £11 worth of electricity a year. Mm-hmm. And an LED equivalent, so producing the same amount of light, uses about £2.
I'd never thought of it that way. Can you imagine? I mean, if you've got £11 a bulb, and say you've got, even a dozen bulbs, that's already what, £132.
Good maths.
12 times 11.
That's very good. It's very good. So I think the take
just on
home,
the lights, without even going to the oven.
That's the running cost.
Yeah.
So I think the take home there is that if your light bulb blows, or actually not even that. If you've got lights, don't wait to swap them. Don't wait till they blow to swap them out. Swap them straight away. And
because
then
what you've said about the costs have now come down to such significant margins that
it's worth taking even a running halogen or incandescent bulb out and swapping them with the LED equivalent.
What do you think about the claim about lifespan of 15, 20 years?
So I think the early ones. The lifespan was slightly overestimated, massively overestimated. But I think, regardless of what quality LED bulb, the longevity, the lifespan of them is considerably longer than the halogen or incandescent equivalent. So I think now you could very easily get over 20 years. I think is there a regulation now that they have to sell bulbs with over a 7-year lifespan? I read that somewhere. So an LED bulb has to have over 7 years, but you can comfortably get 20 years out of it.
We can check that, but Harry can interject at any time. Yep.
But I think the thing to mention is that LEDs are, they're great. They have, so in the end of the bulb, they have a heat sink. So they're trying to take away heat from the LED bit. The bit produces light. And the reason is if the heat stays by the light emitting bit, it sort of decreases its lifespan. Basically, it kills the bulb very slowly. So if you have them in a loft and there's lots of insulation above and there isn't kind of any space for that heat to dissipate, you are going to dramatically reduce the lifespan of the LED bulb.
And we'll probably get questions on this. How challenging is it to swap them out and stuff? Because, we did a video on this 5 years ago where I had a simple step ladder. I have to say, I should have turned the circuit off, so that was a dangerous thing that I did there. So
but you're still here.
I'm still here, still alive.
Thank the Lord.
Swapped out a GU10. But what... So tell us about a typical house. It might have a combination of different types of bulb units.
So number one, most bulbs, in fact all bulbs, have an equivalent LED now. Right?
Even the Edisons, the one you.
So you can get Edison screw bulbs.
Yep.
So they're the sort of familiar old-fashioned bulb that everyone's probably seen. You get bayonets, which are the ones that have the two little prongs that come out the side, and you twist them in.
Is that the B22?
There is a B22 and a B15.
Okay.
And the 22 is 22 millimeter at the end.
Yeah.
And the 15 is a 15 millimeter. And the Edison screw.
Is that a G?
A G?
A G22.
No, G.
Oh, G. Okay.
Edison.
E for Edison.
E for Edison. That tries to make it pretty tricky.
Yes. Of course.
And there's two there. So there's a 27 mil, so E27, which is the fat Edison screw, and there's an E40, which is the thin Edison screw. So those, they will just swap straight out. You can get a new one put in, no issues. Your GU10, again, you can take a GU10 LED and take out your old halogen, so the little spotlights you get in kitchens and stuff. Take those out, twist in an LED, no problem at all. One of the biggest issues, and to be honest, is because it's quite a familiar bulb, is an MR16. right?
Yes, yeah. So you tend to have them, what, bathrooms?
Yeah, bathrooms, bedrooms, and they run at lower voltage, right? So they run at 12 volts instead of your 240 in your normal plug. So the issue there is that you need a transformer to take it down to 12 volts. And so the problem with LEDs is the current running through, the load going through that transformer isn't high enough for it to work. So the bulbs flash. And
this is always confusing me. So if I'm a consumer out there, do I bother with all of that, or do I just change it for a different bulb?
I get a GU10.
What do you think?
I would take out the MR16. I would take out the fitting of the MR16, and I would put in a GU10 because the bulbs look pretty much the same. They produce the same light. You can get them in the same wattages. It just means going forward, you're never going to have those issues, because if you have an MR16, which is the ones literally 2 prongs, they just pop in, you potentially are going to have issues. Because they need to work with the LED driver or the transformer to give you a proper light. And so we have encountered loads of people who have got in touch with us who have been annoyed that they've gone out and they spent 300 quid swapping all the bulbs in their house with MR16 LEDs, and they don't produce, or they produce a flickering light. So if that is the case, I'm sorry that you've gone out and spent that money. And I would definitely make the swap to the GU10. I think the other thing to mention with LEDs is the fact you can dim some of them.
Yep.
And to make this really easy, if you have a dimming halogen light, you need, or a dimmer switch.
So that's what I had. So they had to swap the dimmer.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the easiest thing to do is make sure the LED bulb you buy is dimmable. So you can buy, for example, a GU10 that's dimmable and one that isn't. If you want it to dim, buy the dimmable one. You will tend to pay a tiny bit more for that functionality.
On that question we had earlier about the minimum standard, so the EU minimum lifespan is 6,000 hours for LED?
So about 7 years? No?
I don't know, probably. You backworked it, so we can. We actually had a question here. We had a question, James, first, from Facebook. Can you buy a GU10 bulb plus a brand new GU10 fitting for about £20?
Or less than £20.
Because the bulb is what? So £2.50-ish?
So if you go to a company like LED Hut, I'm probably on a free plug here, but I just have.
Yep.
You're looking £10 for the fitting and the bulb.
And so
obviously you got to get someone to install it.
Yes.
Qualified electrician. Electricity kills.
Yes, it does.
So qualified electrician to get them installed. But it's not difficult.
Very good. First question.
There you go. Thank you, Facebook. Right, and then what else we've got to talk about? So dimming switches. Make sure you buy a dimmable bulb. That's the main thing.
Because that's what we really liked, was because the challenge is always going to be, and we'll get to color temperature in a second, but the challenge is always going to be that whatever you do, you want to make the experience before and after light pretty much the same. And that's so in my household, they quite like the dimmer in the living room because you can kind of turn it down or up as you like.
Pop quiz. Does a dimmer save electricity? Does it save you energy?
I need to read our blog. Obviously, I need to. I'll probably say yes.
Why?
Is it because LEDs flicker quite a lot? So the way they work, they flicker really fast, but you can't see it. So your eye doesn't kind of catch how fast they.
So it's like a TV.
Yeah.
TV
so
programs
if they flicker less, surely less energy is going through the chip or whatever part of the bulb. So hence why it's using less energy. Am I right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay.
So there are different types of dimmers, and I'm going to have to.
So if it's if you dim
there's
it,
a triac dimmer, which God knows what that actually is, but it's basically it pulses the current through the bulb, so it's like on or off. Yeah, so if you pulse it less, but still we couldn't pick it up as in the human eye, but you pulse it less, it's dimmer basically. So yes, in theory you do. If you want.
But they're not massive. That's what.
It's not massive. Yeah. But if you wanted lower light, so if you always dimmed your bulb because you actually wanted a 40 watt bulb, or we're going to talk about lumens in a second, but if you wanted a 40 watt bulb instead of a 60 watt, a 40 watt bulb will be cheaper to run than dimming a 60 watt. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So a 40 watt will be cheaper to run than dimming a 60 watt to a 40 watt equivalent.
Yes.
Cool. Right, lumens. So I think this is the biggest thing when it comes to lighting LEDs. So back in the day, everyone was all about wattage. Yeah? So wattage is basically it's the power consumption of the bulb. So
and hence more power was kind of, I wouldn't say linear, but there was a relationship.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
if you increase the wattage, you increase the brightness of the bulb.
So a 50 watt bulb, bright, it's power consumption, it's wattage, it's using 50 watts power basically to produce that light. Now, when we go LEDs, obviously the key to this is the wattage, and that's why you're saving the energy. So a 5 watt LED will produce very much the same light as a 50 watt halogen bulb,
Incandescent.
or incandescent.
Yes.
So basically, what it means though is we need a way to go into a shop and be able to say, right, I want the same bulb as my old 50 watt without giving you a wattage, and the word is a lumen. Yeah. So basically, the lumen is the measurement of light output by a bulb. Right. So it's no longer power consumption; it's light output. So basically, what you're trying to do is get a similar level of lumens to your old bulb.
So basically, if I was in the olden world, so an 80 watt, that would have an equivalent lumens, and then 100 watt would have an equivalent lumens.
Yes.
Pretty much across all the bulbs.
Yes.
Because you knew what your starting point is.
Exactly. So you could walk into the shop and say, right, I had a 50 watt bulb, and this was the number of lumens on my 50 watt. What is it on the LED?
But this is where I've seen it's difference on the LED. So I've seen a 5 watt from one manufacturer and a 5 watt from another manufacturer, and the lumens are different.
Yes. You're going to ask me to try and explain that.
It's quality, isn't it? It's just to do with.
Let's go. Quality.
So the more light you get per output of wattage,
yes,
then surely that's giving off more light. Hence why it's more efficient. It's a better.
Yeah, but then I guess the quality thing is dangerous because it might mean that yes, you get a higher lumen output per watt.
But it could be a more unstable bulb.
Exactly, and so it
So
could
it's
only last
it's
3
difficult
years.
to. Yeah,
So I think quality is a dangerous one to go with. But basically, you're looking for lumens, and I would say if you're comparing 2 LED bulbs of the same wattage and one has a higher lumen, I would go with the one with the higher lumens. But I think again with LEDs, and we can start going through it now. I think so you've got to look for lumens, but also the color temperature. So you mentioned that before. So what are we talking about there?
So color temperature is for instance, if I'm in my living room or bathroom, normally I like it a bit warmer.
So it's the
less kind of scientific. So this is very, I don't know.
So it's a yellow light.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a yellow light. So when you say warm, you mean like yellow.
Yes.
Whereas when you say scientific.
So this is white light. So in this room, I don't really find this light comfortable.
No, so it feels like you're in a lab, yeah?
Yes.
So
or a dentist chair.
And so all that. So that is cool light.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's got sort of more tinges of blue. Would that be how you describe it?
Yes.
So it's like a blue light, and then whereas the warm light is yellow. And you can basically buy LEDs any colour you want.
But listen, some people like the blue light, as you were saying. Some people like this type of light.
They do. I mean, it depends. So I think with LEDs, when you move to them and you buy an LED equivalent, start having a look. Buy a couple initially that have different qualities, so different light temperatures, so a cool light or a warm light, and see which ones you like. And they're all on essentially a colour temperature scale.
Yep.
And you can start sort of getting a feel.
And would you say, and is this fair, places like say kitchen where you're doing lots of appliance stuff, you want it a bit whiter or bluer?
Well, I think it's
sitting and relaxing, or is it up to the?
Depends.
Well, that's for me.
So I like it to be nice and warm because it feels more cosy.
Yes.
Which is like a yellow.
Even
light.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like being cosy in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. Whereas I'm sure there are.
Because say kitchen, I wouldn't mind because if say I'm handling appliances and stuff and knives and I want it to be a bit more intense.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
But yeah.
But I mean, it's not really intense. It's just blue.
Yeah.
It's just very clinical.
Yes.
LEDs. Other thing to mention about LEDs, they're very focused in direction. So we've got lights outside my house, and the street lights outside.
So you're talking about angle beams, yeah?
Yeah. So we got the street lights, and about 3 years ago, they used to annoy me.
So our street lights are absolutely rubbish.
Well, but because they were these old lights, and the light went bloody everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And they about 3 months ago they swapped them.
Watford
LEDs
Borough
in.
Council, are you listening? Improve our lights.
Ealing and nailing it. So what they've done now is they put these LEDs in right on my street, and the light sort of lightens up the pavement, but it doesn't make everywhere light.
I just can't see anything in my street.
Really?
I mean, I don't even know where I'm going half the time.
Are there lights in your street?
There's lights, but it's as if there was no lights. It's absolutely terrible. And they turn them off after 12 o'clock.
Okay.
But it doesn't make sense because they're all LEDs. I.e., the whole argument we've just had about costs doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But anyway.
Okay, right. So final thing on lights before we move on. So there are now, and I'm sure there are other competitors, but I'm going to name check Philips, and they do a bulb that's called Hue, H-U-E, I think, H-U-E. Right, and they're smart lights, right? So I have an app on my phone that allows me to turn my light off. I can turn my light on now in my home from my phone, which...
How often you do it?
Pretty infrequently.
Never.
But they're quite clever. So for a security light and that sort of thing,
Yes.
They allow you to basically just run.
I suppose it's good when you go on holidays.
Logic?
I suppose it's good when you go on holidays. You want to keep the burglars away.
So you know the timers on old things,
Yeah.
24 hours, and you said, I want it on for 15 minutes now, and then da-la-la. So the LED, this app, and I don't think this was the point of it, but it allows you basically to say, right, I want it to go roughly, turn the light on at 7 o'clock in the evening, give or take 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then it changes within that kind of spectrum when it turns on. So it looks more subtle.
Yes, rather than just coming on at the same time.
So there's a bit in Home
Rather
Alone.
like Home Alone, yes, yeah. I just thought the same thing.
And then and the guys are about to rob the houses, and they literally flick it, and all the lights suddenly come on at 7 o'clock to try and prove people at home. Whereas the Philips Hue is a subtler way of doing it.
So, for instance, you can say, dim the bedroom one, but then turn the...
Dim the bedroom.
But you're away, so there's nothing going on.
But
the living room one.
But I think we're talking about energy saving. So the energy saving point of view, you can get it set up so when you leave the house, so it's got geolocation.
Yeah.
And
So
geolocation,
if you're coming within, say, 5 miles of it, it'll recognise.
Well, normally it's with heating, right?
GPS.
So it turns the heating on so your house is nice and warm.
Yeah.
But the geolocation on that, it normally works actually when you hit your Wi-Fi. When you go onto your phone is picked up by your Wi-Fi.
And your kind of your location.
As in you're very close to the house.
Yes.
Because it doesn't take half an hour to warm up your lights. And then they will just ping on when you arrive. And then when you leave, they turn off again.
Isn't the trouble then you've got an app, say, for your heating, an app for lights? Surely the way is to have one app.
There is. And I think that's kind of smart heating, smart controls. I think we should talk about that another day.
Curtains, stuff like that.
All those sort of things.
Yeah.
We can talk about that another day. I think there's quite a lot of scope for it getting more and more intelligent.
Do you want to know a cool thing about smart lighting?
Yes.
So in America, where in some places where they have their peak hours already kind of established, there's a setting you can do on my lighting app anyway, if you're in America, where the light will flash when an off-peak energy hour comes on.
Ooh.
So then you can use the cheaper energy then.
That is clever.
Oh, wow.
That's quite cool.
That's very cool. Well, there we go. So you can
So maybe
save
we'll
energy.
get that now that the smart meters are coming out. And
So it's all linked, isn't it? All ties in together. But basically that's it. So LEDs, definitely worth getting, save loads of money, last a lot longer. Just make sure you've tried a few bulbs, make sure you're happy with the colour temperature. Lumen is the thing that you're looking for now rather than wattage, because a 50 watt bulb from the old days is now similar to a 5 watt LED type thing. So lumens is a measure of total light output, so that's what you're looking for. And smart lighting is potentially the future.
Okay, can I talk a little bit about EPCs, energy performance certificates, and impact of
course you can.
LED lights? So, as we discussed before, you've got a domestic EPC, so say for your houses and your flats, and you've got a commercial EPC. That's pretty much for all of your businesses, and but the varying degree of, i.e., if you go from say halogen lights to LEDs from one to the other, so i.e. on your domestic one, even if you retrofitted it all out, it wouldn't make much of a difference because the way the building regulation standards within the software work, they don't deem light to be a guzzler of energy as much as they are in business. So, we are in work today, obviously, and you'd probably agree with this that lights are on pretty much 10 hours a day throughout the warehouse, throughout all the offices. So,
and you normally arrive quite late, so
8:45. It's always 15 minutes. So because it makes such a big impact for commercial energy assessments, it's very much worth. So if you're looking to be compliant with minimum energy efficiency standards, which are now live. So if you're looking to rent out the property, if it's a commercial premises to a new tenant, you've got to hit Band E energy rating on a commercial and domestic. But I would just say on the commercial, the LED impact is much, much bigger. So it could be the thing that takes you across the line.
So basically a cheap way to get
cost-effective way, rather than kind of ripping up the whole warehouse and sort of starting again. Fabric, HVAC systems, it can get really, really complicated. LED lighting could be a much more simpler way to do it.
For domestic properties, if you're close to this key boundary.
So if it's 1 to 2 points. It's
1 to 2 points.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're close, if you're very close,
so say you're,
may as well do it.
What is it, 39 to a Band E? I'll have to check that. But anyway, if you get to 40, then, hey presto.
You're there. So LEDs might be the way to do it.
But it'll be on the recommendation. So what you can always do with your energy assessor, on the last page of your energy assessment report, you will see what are the measures and what the impacts are. Much more visible than commercial. Because commercial just gives you a long list of recommendations. It doesn't necessarily go into the scenario analysis.
Where would you, if you were to get an EPC in London, what company would you use?
I only use London EPC.
Right, okay. Little plug there.
Yeah. Anyway.
How many points could it boost your commercial up by?
It's really difficult to tell because
I think you'd have to get you a microphone.
You'd have to get Alan. I mean, Alan is the the veteran of all EPCs.
I think God,
the god of all EPCs. But he just tells me about stuff like light settings and other things you can do with it to actually boost it. So, and I get lost in the figures and the numbers, but probably Alan's a good person. But as I said, it's much more significant than a domestic one, Harry. So probably one for Alan to ask. But I think even for him, it'd be quite a difficult one to put his finger on.
Alan said that could be as much as 100 points.
Wow. Can I just say?
I think.
Can I honestly just say? And I know that I shouldn't be admitting this, but we have a sort of cheat sheet that we use, and it says here, name check London EPC. I hadn't even read that. I just name checked them anyway.
Well, London-EPC.
London-EPC.co.uk.
Yep.
Okay, good. Right. So, final thing. So, okay, I can't get lights in a particular room for whatever reason. Don't want to pay for an electrician. What is a solar tunnel?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Right. Okay. So
you have to explain that. So sorry, James. Put you on the spot.
So a solar tunnel. I don't know a huge amount, but I do know a little bit. A solar tunnel basically brings light into a room. So obviously, if I'm in a room and I put a window in, that's a logical thing to do.
Yep.
But the solar tunnel basically is you don't need very much space for them, and they tend to sit in the ceiling. So it's a little tube that comes through the ceiling.
Right.
And there's a bit on top. So I imagine like.
Did it have mirrors?
To reflect the light in.
Yeah,
and it sort of has this aperture at the top that captures loads of light.
Right.
And then it pings it down this tunnel.
Yep.
Lots of mirrors. And then pings it into the room. So it creates a whole load of light from very, very little sort of light input. I know Velux have just bought one out. So Velux, they make the windows in the lofts, but they've just bought one of these things out. But lots of other companies do them as well. So if you need to bring light into a particular room and you can't bring electricity for whatever reason, have a look at the solar tunnel.
So I guess if one day, we made the surface wall uninhabitable and we had to migrate underground, if we install these things underground, it will stop us turning into Mortlocks. So if you watch...
there we go.
Yeah, because we'd be
Mortlocks?
Mortlocks, yeah. There's guys in The Time Machine. So if they spent so much time underground without any light, they sort of...
like Gollum.
They became a bit like that. But if we had solar tunnels, that would prevent
less
us.
issues.
Yeah.
And then the last one we need to cover before we've done lights to death, solar panel lights. So my mother-in-law, lovely lady, has so in her garden she's got these little lights, and they're solar panel lights.
My mum absolutely loves those things.
Right, they don't produce very much light.
But they are brilliant, aren't they?
They're a clever idea. So they basically they have a tiny little battery and they charge during the day and they give it a minimal amount of light out during the evening. You obviously could get proper battery storage and power lights that way with solar panels and that sort of thing. But we're talking about the tiny little ones here.
They're about £2 from B&Q.
On the cheap now after Christmas?
Yeah, on the cheap after Christmas.
No, but they are great though. That's when you're sitting in the garden and then, you're kind of...
producing a tiny amount of light.
Yeah, it's just the glows,
So you can see the perimeter of your garden.
Yes.
Ah, great. Well, there we go. So you can buy them if you want, and they're pretty cheap now. Right. Nick, what are we on to next?
Cold weather payments.
Cold weather payments.
It has been cold, I have to say.
It's been freezing, as we discussed, snow.
So temperatures have warmed up. So cold weather payments, the way I understand them is, so if you are entitled to winter fuel payments, and there are certain consecutive days that are below zero.
Are these all the ways we can get them?
Yeah.
So, pension credit, if you receive pension credit.
So that's an entitlement.
Support for mortgage interest or income-related employment and support allowance, and you're in work-related activity group. I mean, Jesus wept.
We'll put a link to
So,
it's
it's seven consecutive days where it's zero below as an average temperature. So I guess last
and
week...
it's between 1st November and end of March. So you can't have it if you have freak April weather, irrelevant.
Yes.
No payment.
But I think, probably would have qualified in most parts of the country. For about a week or so, it was pretty...
Is it done all... Are there different zones in the country?
Yeah, it's done by your nearest weather station. So some people complain because if you're on the top of a mountain and it's freezing cold and whatnot, and you would qualify, but your local weather station's in a warmer place. Unless your local weather station is following the right criteria, you won't get paid.
Okay, fine. But I think on the whole it works relatively well because not that many people live up top of mountains. But it's still, that's quite tough criteria. Being average zero for 7 consecutive days. I mean, Scotland probably get that quite a lot, but I don't think down here. Does Scottish people getting it?
Pretty sure. I'll check.
Right, we'll fact check that. And there is a government postcode checker to see if you're eligible for the payments. So it's quite a nice thing to
I guess if you're sort of west country, so you're just you're on the Atlantic kind of periphery, because it's normally where I learned this in geography. You tend to get mild weather, so you probably least likely, as you said, Scotland, and maybe as you move out into the east or higher ground. Mm-hmm. But then again, it all depends on your weather station. So
Okay, and anything else to talk about today?
Cold weather payments you don't have to apply for; it's automatic.
If you've got those entitlements,
if you're eligible, it will happen. You don't need to.
Oh, really?
Fill forms or anything. Yeah, it's done.
Oh, right. Okay.
It happens so rarely that people don't know about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, fingers crossed we keep getting cold weather, although cold weather is obviously bad because you have to be heating on.
Have we got time for some news?
We have got some time for some news.
Yep. Well, I was just going to say, so a story that Harry picked out this week in The Guardian was basically saying UK has got one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fossil fuel subsidies towards, production and extraction of fossil fuel, so natural gas, oil, etc. And considering that we're trying to move on to a low carbon economy, and trying to support these fledgling technologies. I mean, last week we really talked about the
tidal stuff, yeah.
I don't know. It seems to be all kind of a bit of a mixed bag. It doesn't make you very confident, about our kind of low carbon future. If we're going to be,
I think seeing DEC get destroyed or renamed, or however you'd like to put it, it shows the government's focus on these things has probably slipped down the agenda. I would say. Here's
a quiz for you. How much do you think a year does the UK government spend supporting fossil fuels? Yes.
£12 billion?
No more. I reckon they spend 42 billion.
Oh, good lord! 10.5 billion.
Ooh.
You're
okay, right, fine. I went big. You said it was a big payment. I was hoping for more. So that's plenty, isn't it?
I meant 12. So 12 billion euros. Yeah. The sterling figure. I didn't.
You've got information in front of you. This is all from up here for me.
Well,
Okay, cool. And then I am ready. Something I want to talk about next week in loads of detail, which I think we're doing next week, which is all about the sort of plastic thing.
Yeah.
And
so we're looking at different solutions proposals out there.
Yeah.
What's hot?
It's getting more and more coverage. So I think we can. I sort of read something in this magazine. It was actually really interesting. And so I think we should spend.
I have to say, Sky did a very good campaign.
What I mean. Yeah,
Sky Oceans was so shout out.
So they need to keep hitting these sort of things. And then so we'll do that in more detail. So I'm not going to bore with that now. Anything else?
Yeah, and probably what we'll do is I think last week we had the talk about the conservatory. We'll try and if we get any more questions.
Oh yeah.
Try and use that as about cover a third of the show.
Okay.
So we had
some
disparaging comments about infrared. So maybe
get some
talk about that.
Bread flavoured beer.
Oh, I didn't order it this week. Oh, we have to order it for next week.
Okay. Good. I think
let's get that ordered.
And then we can try it.
Yes. Yes.
Get a crate.
We can get a crate. That'd be good. Okay, good stuff. Well, listen, thank you very much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or if you now
First podcasts.
Use us. Yeah, podcasts.
Let's go. Podbean,
Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
The Green Age website.
What's the other one?
Stitcher.
Gonna get that.
The Green Age website. Don't forget.
The Green Age website.
Which is just a link back to our YouTube.
But no, it's not now.
And then also the top.
So if you'd like to subscribe, you can do that via any one of those channels. Just go on there and type the Green Room, and we'll pop up. Just
to make sure you never miss out on an episode.
Yes, exactly. And then, as Nick said, we would love questions from people. So if you've got anything that you're wondering about in terms of energy saving, ideally, we can try other questions. I don't think we're qualifying a huge amount. And we will try and give you some answers. But I think that's it for this week. Mm-hmm. So you happy with that?
Yeah, I'll just say, LED's great. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure you try and adopt it, try and swap them out and save yourself some money.
Good stuff. Thanks, Nick.